Okay, so in our next chapter, we're going to be learning about angles and doing some work with angles and problems involving angles. So what exactly is an angle? An angle is the space created between two rays sharing a common endpoint. Okay. An angle is made up of a vertex, which is the common endpoint where the two rays meet. And it's also made up of two sides. These are the individual rays. Composing the angle. Okay, so I'm going to draw you a little picture of an angle up here. So we have two rays sharing a common endpoint. Okay, this common endpoint is called the vertex. Okay, over here, we've got one of the rays, this is a side. The other ray, this is another side. Okay, the space that's in between here, this is the angle, which we measure that space in degrees. Okay. All right, so let's look at some examples. This is name the vertex and the sides that form each angle. So the vertex is this point here, which is point D. And the sides would be the two rays. So one of the rays would be ray D going through E, so ray D, E. And the other ray would be D going through F, so that would be ray D, F. Okay, why don't you guys go ahead and try to fill in the vertex and the two sides for the next angle. Okay, hopefully you had enough time to try. The vertex is point B, and the two rays are ray BA. And you also have ray BC. Okay, let's move on to the next set of examples. How to name an angle. Okay, there are 4 different ways to name an angle. Okay, so here are your 4 different ways. You can name it by its vertex. You can also name it by its number. And we have 2 different options when we're going with the last one, which is by 3 letters, which are all of its points. Okay. All right, so let me show you for example on this one. We could call this angle angle Q. When we write down angle Q, we write a little angle symbol and we write down the vertex Q. That's one way to name the angle. We could call the angle angle Q. Another way to name the angle is by this number that's inside the angle. Notice the number does not have a degree sign next to it, so it's not telling us the measurement. It's just saying another way we could call this angle, for example, is angle 4. It's not saying the angle's 4 degrees, it's saying that is the name of the angle. This is angle number 4. Okay, another way we can name the angle is by 3 of its points. When we are naming the angle by 3 of its points, we always go side, vertex, side when we're naming it. We never start in the middle. So we go from side, vertex, side. So this would be, for example, PQR. So we could call this angle PQR. And there's a 4th option, We can also start on the other side and call it angle RQP. Why don't you go ahead and take a moment to give this one a try, naming this angle in the 4 different ways. Okay, so if we were going to name this angle by its vertex, it would be angle F, because F is the common endpoint. If we were going to name it by its number, it would be angle 7. If we were going to name it by 3 points, we could name it GFH, angle GFH. Or we could go the reverse order, starting on this side, and name it angle HFG. Hopefully you got that one correct. Okay, let's move on to the next section. In the next section, it's asking us to draw some angles. So it says draw an angle with a given vertex and sides. So here's my vertex is B. My 2 sides are ray BA and ray BC. So I'm just going to draw any angle, make it whatever size I want. I'm going to make the vertex B, and the 2 rays that are composing the sides of the angle, one of them has to be ray BA, the other one has to be ray BC. I could have switched these two, right? Didn't really matter which one I put on which side, but B definitely had to be in the middle. It had to be the vertex. Why don't you guys go ahead and try example 6. Hopefully you guys had enough time to try. So if I were going to draw this angle, I might label my vertex S based on what they told me. My 2 rays that I have for this angle, one of them is ray SR, so I'm going to label R on one of the sides. The other one is ST, so I'll label point T on another side. Okay, let's go ahead and look at the last information we have here. Okay. So classifying angles, okay? It says define each term and then draw a picture to represent each angle, okay? So the first one we have is an acute angle. This is an angle that measures less than 90 degrees. Okay, it's specifically between 0 and 90, okay, because we're not going to have negative measure when we're working with angles, so even though it's less than 90, it can't be less than 0, okay? Now, maybe an acute angle looks something like this, okay? It's less than 90 degrees. The next type of angle we have is a right angle. This is an angle that measures exactly 90 degrees. A right angle would look something like this. It has a perfect 90-degree angle in the corner. We denote a 90-degree angle with a little box in the corner, the angle. All right, next we have an obtuse angle. This is an angle that measures between 90 and 180. Okay, maybe an obtuse angle would look a lot bigger than a right angle, so it might look something kind of like that. All right, the last type of angle we're dealing with is a straight angle. This is an angle that measures exactly 180 degrees. would look something like this. This measurement is basically making a flat line, right? 180 degrees. That's all in our notes for an introduction to angles today.